the weird attempt to accrue this constant victimhood for people who get away with literal killing of people continues. Matt Walsh, one of the many clones of Ben Shapiro, was responding to Kyle Rittenhouse explaining that he supports BLM, and take a look at how he decides to address that comment.
So I wouldn't criticize him at all after everything he's been through to say that. Still, it does show what sort of stranglehold leftist grievance organizations like BLM have. That even Kyle Rittenhouse, after BLM, I mean, they are the ones who tried to lynch him. They are the lynch mob here.
So yeah, that's Matt Walsh. Again, every white person is constantly being lynched. Just the white people, mind you, but they're constantly being lynched. And he knows what he's doing when he does that. And I have a little bit of empathy. I mean, if you're trying to compete with people like Ben Shapiro and you're not clever, you're not funny, you're not intelligent, you have to be the most awful. So it's like his deck is just filled up with white people get lynched, white people get lynched. We're the ones who actually are the targets of racism. That's the only thing that they have to draw an audience. And so you're gonna hear more of this, Nina. We've already heard it so many times. It's a big problem in America, historically, white people being lynched.
Oh yeah. Disregard the fact that black people bore the brunt of the majority of lynchings in this country 100%. Just simply based on their race. That is not to say historically some white people did not get lynched, they did. But in the way that they are using lynching, they are disregarding, as a matter of fact, just kind of throwing out the historic realities of this country. And it is really sad, John, because they are perpetuating, you wanna talk about a big lie, they are perpetuating a big lie. Again, the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of this country, its original sin was enslavement of Africans and then their descendants, generation after generation after generation. And even in the modern era, as we see right now, even in the 21st century, those remnants are still there because we are talking about systems. They're talking about individuals. We're talking about systemic racism, systemic hate, and they just don't get it. They don't want to get it either.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, look, oh my God, John! I just the fact that people can do this. This is a total misrepresentation, and I'm being kind by using the word misrepresentation. Mm-hmm. And the reason why the Black Lives Matter movement was born in the first place, it is really another iteration in our lifetime of the civil rights movement. It's another iteration of all the Black freedom fighting movements that came before it. Jesus Christ.
Well, look, you, I think 100% rightly tied this back to the legacy of slavery. Even that, though, isn't beyond their desperate attempts to continually portray themselves across all issues as victims. As you will see, here we have Dennis Prager, who's paid by millionaires and billionaires to try to delude and bamboozle young people on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube and all that. Here he is talking about slavery.
But you see, they have a monopoly on victimhood. There are no non-left-wing victims. That's what they believe. However, I would argue that the unvaccinated are bigger pariahs. Were AIDS or gays or people with AIDS banned from travel? Were they banned from restaurants? Were they fired from their jobs? Were they deprived of a way of feeding their family? The unvaccinated are the most hated group since slavery. Tell me who would be equivalent.
I guess he's at least admitting that it was bad to be a slave. I mean, he's one of the few right wingers that isn't trying to pretend that it was actually a great thing or whatever. Credit for mixing it up. Normally, they compare themselves to those who were murdered by the Nazis during the Holocaust. He's going a little bit further back in history. But again, there's nothing they won't co-opt to present their own actions as making them the true victims.
These people are sick.
That's it.
Absolutely sick.
And they're probably gonna be back in charge in about a year. And they're probably gonna be back in the White House in a couple of years.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.